Hello, this is Peter Colla with Spiritual Therapies with Peter and Anna Colla. Anna is not here right now. She's here, she's just not in front of the screen. You may have seen me on Nicholas Van Yemen. You may have seen me on Charlie Ward, or you may have seen me on David Nino Rodriguez now quite a few months ago. I will be going on his show again very soon. He's a friend and we talk quite often. And so it's about time we do a part 2 that will be happening. But before I get started with a lot of the other things, I wanted to tell that today's video is a little different than the ones I normally do. I am doing a little bit of reporting myself. I'm not much of a news reporter, but if I get something that pours across my plate, that especially in the area of health and wellness, being a professional, licensed medical professional with over 35 years of examination and therapeutic treatment experience, maybe 6,000 to 7,000 patients. If I get something, I'm gonna let it rip. And that's what I'm doing today. And today's program is called Mandate or Curse, the latest Medicare mandate to force people to take the you know what, or one of its little brothers. Another mandate, this time issued to all Medicare recipients, whether they be patients or providers of service. From the administrators, all the way down to the janitors taking out the trash, all persons receiving money associated with Medicare whatsoever. The new mandated threat: get the you know what or get out. That is it. So before I start and go into my whole examination and talk about that, I would like to first remind people that our program is Spiritual Therapies with Peter Anna Colla. We do not monetize. We do have, I also do a blog, paulorpeter.com, and we have published a couple of books. This is how I make a little money to help with treating people off the grid, and oftentimes for free, since I can't charge for these services. I can't, we'll get into that why here in a little while, but as part of this report. But one of the books is called Heal Yourself for God's Sake. And it basically is my consolidated group of writings where I've listed over 10 years of examination and putting God into the treatment scenario and the results that I saw. And then basically asking him, well, how does that work? And finding the answers in the Word of God and putting it in this book. It's a self-help guide to help others do the same. If it worked for one, it will work for you. So that is this mind, body, and spiritual examination of health and finding treatments using them. The other book that I promote at this time is called Quantum Ascension. In this book, I ask God, how does it work? And he explains it to me, how it works even on an elementary basis, all the way down to vibrations and in the ascension department. A lot of people are speaking of ascension these days. And I explain it in these books, or at least what I have been told. I'm wrong. Sorry, chicken wings or something. Anyway, so that Quantum Ascension, both of these books are available on Amazon. If you don't want to use Amazon, although they seem to be a little bit better now than they used to be, you can write me directly at posture.is.everything@gmail.com. And I will instruct you how you can order a book directly from me. You still have to pay for it, but then I will sign it and send it to you. We also have a GoFundMe. The link is below for us to raise money to eventually open an all-cash mind, body, and spiritual-based therapeutic clinic where people can come and pay just what they can afford, we will not be billing insurance because we will not follow the mandates that are prescribed in the insurance industry for particular sicknesses. We will do what we believe God wants to be done for them and not just what the big pharma / insurance-driven agencies want. So that kind of office, we are getting ready to open back up, and we have to raise some money to do that. So that's the GoFundMe. Now, without further ado, mandate or curse. The latest mandates, or the latest mandate to force people to take the vaccine, to take taking that, better cut that out. We have to go in there and edit that. I probably already did. Anyways, as evidence seems to just pile in, considering the worldwide jostling of reported numbers in and around what we in the truthers movement have affectionately called the Scamdemic. And with all the seemingly horrifying aspects of issues that come with taking their favorite solution, aka the many of these and their little buddies, the ones that sit in the booster seats, those guys. When I have said this before in other videos, and I'm still treating people in nursing homes and other people that just have various physical therapy conditions. And if you ask me how many that have received these have had contraindications or have had secondary reactions that fall under the major 5 that they talk about, I'll get into that here in a little while. 5: heart, neuropathy, blood clots, etc. If you ask me how many are suffering from one of those symptoms who've never had those before, guess. All the above, all. Every one of my patients that I've treated that have received this has symptoms of those contraindicating symptoms. Yet when they go back and they ask, where do they come from? A, they can't find where it came from. And B, it definitely didn't come from this, they tell them. Even though they are the same ones that a lot of other people are claiming to have the same issues. Even when the audacity of these so-called leaders of health and well-being, as well as the clear demonstrative lack of concern for the actual health of anyone, that is perhaps with the exception of themselves, can stoop to no further depth, they seem to pull their literal noses out of the shit bowls and spit out even another piece of mandatory conciliation to further placate something that is so based on falsehoods and lies that it would seem to indicate that an utter ideology that they think we are just all stupid sheep. So I will get right into it. And at the bottom of my article here, there will have a link. And you also can get on my blog where I will have a PDF copy of this document that is from the Department of Health and Human Services. And it is to be published on the Federal Register on 11/5/21, which means it's already done. This was sent out personally to physicians, administrators, and healthcare professionals in the form of an email or a letter. And basically, it's not hidden. I sent it out, but I'm going to talk about it a little bit. You can read it. It's basically a mandate that says that everyone who's involved with any kind of Medicare in any way, shape, or form, receiving benefits, providing services, or associated with a business that gets revenue from that kind of scenario, hey, that's a lot of people out there, must comply and receive this within the next 60 to 90 days, at risk of being A, dismissed, B, fined, and C, having their license, their Medicare license removed. Okay, this is overall has to do with Medicare. The Department of Health and Human Services, CMS 3415-IFC, RIN number 0938-AU75. And the CMS stands for the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services. Official form, officials stamp on the top, official signature at the bottom, with the secretary of said department, an elected official, by the way. Or maybe they're nominated, maybe nominated by our president. Maybe he is our president. Okay, let's move on. Those who know me and have watched my videos, or the ones done with others, Nicholas Van Yemen, Charlie Ward, Nino, no, I write, speak, share, and try in basically to affect a sort of placement of godly truth back into the healthcare system, in individual system, in corporate systems, and in the healthcare system as a whole, in places I have directed and supervised, even mentored hundreds of therapists in the Phoenix, Arizona area. Always try to promote using godly truths in their evaluation and treatment procedures. We will get into why that is important here in a minute. People who read my blogs, hundreds of them I've written, are on paulopeter.com would also know that I have on more than one occasion spoken of the increasing lack of healthcare in the healthcare system, aka big pharma / corporate insurance, in their actual desire for our health, lack thereof. And even what seems more of an increase in ideology that propagate an increased dependency of the system, an increase and divert medication use, as well as a systemic reduction of people's ability to even get in contact with their own spiritual side of themselves. Now, what did I just say? There has been a systematic increase over the years of not trying to help people get out of the medical system once they're in, but seemingly a desire to keep them in, with a further desire to propagate a continued and lifelong usage of medications and a duplication process in which the people, once they start on one, seems to facilitate a second, and then they take the second and it seems to facilitate a third. And before you know it, you see the same group of medications that are pretty much abundant in almost every patient that you see, especially among the elderly. They have the same regiment of things they get. And you start to wonder, as a practitioner, when did this all, it's been the last few years and this increasingly got worse. And that has led to people distrusting the medical system, distrusting the hospitals. When they hear that they're lying about the numbers, lying about the diagnosis. I work with medical professionals. My wife knows many office administrative people who were ordered to change the diagnosis for almost every person who walked through the door, regardless of what it was, and told to put it under the morbid category. Sometimes even then propagating a facilitation of said program that they were doing for that, aka the particular kind of medicine, even though they weren't even there for that particular diagnosis, yet they were getting that treatment, which often led to death. That's genocide at the very minimum. This morning, I received a concerning phone call from a very sweet friend and colleague. I will call her Dr. Rose. We will call her Dr. Rose, not because it's particularly her name, but because she is kind of sweet like a rose, and so we'll use that. But mainly because she's one of the sweetest believing doctors I ever had the honor of knowing. Not only serves the people she treats to the best of her knowledge and ability, but is also someone who answers to God, both in her life, in her own life, and in the lives of people she touches. Well, I've not spoken to her in years. I found it how funny how God works. And she was the subject of discussion between Anna and myself only a day, maybe two before, about how can people, mainly medical practitioners, go on once they realize that some of these procedures, aka this, could possibly be harmful to somebody, and then go and do it anyways for a buck because they're being forced to. You know, it doesn't take an Einstein to go, and once you look into particular products that are part of the makeup, either in the patent or in the papers that no longer come with this. Used to cut you every medicine you had it all listed the ingredients and contraindications. We've talked about what are contraindications, side effects, and how they're not necessarily, they're like the side dishes on a meal. You don't accidentally get them, or maybe you'll get them or not. They're part of the meal. They're not the main course. But the side effects are effects you're gonna get, or you're supposed to. They want that. They may not get what they want, but that's what they want. Okay, gotta eat your peas. Gotta eat your peas if you're gonna eat your hot dog. Side effect. Well, while I had not spoken to her in years, it's funny how God works. I talked about her, and we were talking about this, and I said, well, it's lucky there's people out there that still follow God, and if they think something's wrong, they're not going to do it, no matter how much they're being told to do it. I've seen that in the workplace. And I have also seen, because I have done it, and I will not do things that are wrong for a patient, no matter how much I've been told to do it. And I've lost jobs because of it. I've lost jobs because of telling people that God would have them be healed if they just stand up and do it. And having a daughter, for example, not want their father to stand up. No, I don't want him to. I like him in the wheelchair. And then, not like what I had to say. And so that you lose a job because they call up and I don't want him, there anymore. No, he's not doing what the doctor said. Doctor said to walk him in the walker. He doesn't need a walker. And you help him get better so he can get better. And you pay the price because you're not following what the protocol is, for example. Well, Jesus also said, pick up your mat and walk. He also healed people on Sunday. When the Pharisees looked at him and said, wait a minute, how, you're not supposed to work on Sunday. That's breaking our law. You're not supposed to do that. How dare you? That's not God. God wouldn't have you work on Sunday. Saturday. It was actually Saturday, Sabbath, but it was Saturday, Sunday. You can't do that. Jesus said the law is not for, was the law for man, or is man for the law? The Sabbath wasn't created, man wasn't created for the Sabbath. The Sabbath was created for men. And so that is how this is too. Same thing. You give people what they need, not just what some big pharma pseudo insurance corporate office deems they need because of some diagnosis code that somebody decided to put on them like a label, like a star on their arm. So we hadn't spoken for years, and she had actually been subject of the discussion, as I said, or at least the purpose of these so-called health treatments today, how difficult it's become for people to work in an industry at all. It's hard for me. They don't want to pay me. They won't pay me. They stop paying me, or they just say, break a contract because I push God. I don't push it, but I make an opportunity for people to not stop what they're doing, but add God to the situation. Okay. See it from maybe different eyes. Look at it from a spiritual side and not just a physical side, from a different dimension. We'll get into that. Now, my own work to basically counter what I seem to have seen as an anti-health push has in itself resulted in two things. One, God showing me what happens when we put God back into the healthcare arena. Mm-hmm. And two, the pushback that results, I had to find my place, sorry about that. The pushback that results in my own life when I dare to say to them, as the so-called system mandates, protocols, or instructs, no. How they push back. See, that's how you know you're on the track, the hard they push. They wouldn't care. What's this whole big deal about the letter after P and the one before R? That letter, that little quasi letter that we're talking about. Why would they care? They have a Star Trek meeting in Dallas, or the Association for Bigfoot in Alaska, and nobody goes there and does a whole thing all across TV, every channel, about these crazy who's with the letter. And why would they care? They don't talk about the Sasquatch people, the Star Trekkies. No, but when these people go and do something a little off, not a lot off, just a little, they go, oh my God, look at these crazies. It's on every network, on every channel, on every Jimmy friggin' jerk off, Kimmel, Kettle, whatever. And it's like, and what? So that's how you know. You're touching a nerve. Somebody shit in your yard. They don't like it. Yeah, okay. So it's happened to me. If when I had my office, they'd have just let me, they could have taken my contracts away little bit by little bit. But, I just kept going and just kept treating people with God, treating people with, and they were getting better. People were healing, and they brought it up. Then they brought their friends. They saw, well, this isn't working. They got mad. They had bulldozed my building. There you go. You don't have to look far or too deep these days to see there's a dark agenda behind the majority of the so-called health advice they're pushing, not only on us, but on the world. The good news is one also does not have to look far to see their clear intent, and that is not for our health as this so-called mandate may infer, I will post a PDF copy of the blog on my blog and a link at the bottom of the video for everyone to see. But they go in over and over and over and talk about all the different reasons why, because of all the deaths and because of all the numbers and because of all the danger. And every one of these things are based on lies. They pick out these lies and then talk about them as if they're truths. They pick out lies about the numbers and then talk about it as if it's truths. And then throw out a bunch of mandates because of the scenario that didn't even happen. That's what this whole article is full. It's 215 pages. And articles written and articles published, this one here and that one there. And that's why we have to hurry up and do this, because we need to get everybody again, including children, they got to get this. Okay. People might ask if this is truly their intent and there is a dark agenda, then why even give us a warning at all? Why would they say this is the plan 60 and 90 days before it is mandatory? Why not just put it out immediately and say it's going in now? That answer too falls under the spiritual side of the whole process. And without getting into lengthy detail in my blog, but I will tell you a little bit more in the video, I have in previous videos talked about it falls down into two simple factors when it comes to the spirituality of this stuff. One is called disclosure. See, there's a way things work in the physical universe, and they cannot put a curse on people unless they disclose it in advance. Well, wait a minute. What do you mean? How do they do that? They do it through a sort of involuntary consent by showing people these things, even in cartoons and different things like that. That is why they're so interested in getting this stuff, these curses, into the schools. It has to get in there, even if the children hardly know what they're talking about. Involuntary consent, so that they have actually heard about it. Otherwise, they're blowing wind where there's nobody to hear. That's one of the rules they have to follow. It's a witchy poo must. Yeah, that's the way it is. And if they wish to place a curse or have a plan for a sinister dark agenda in the future, they must disclose their intention in the form of at least involuntary consent. Send out an inconspicuous email with 200 plus pages and a whole lot of small print, or on some contract that you have to sign when you buy a house. There's 2 pages of small print. Nobody reads it. That's where the curse is. Knowing only a few will even bother to open it or read it. See, they hide it in plain sight. They have to, because if you knew really what you were doing, you wouldn't sign it. And 2, time. They need time. Okay, now why? Time needs to be given between the moment of the threat and the actual moment a threat comes to the surface so people can get scared. Time when the police says, I'm going to meet you in the parking lot after the school today on your way home. You got time to be scared. Okay, what does that do? It feeds their demonic entities that rule them. The demons are anti-God. Everything good comes from God. All good things come from God. They have been stripped of everything that's godly. So they cannot even feed on godly things. They have to feed on other things. The lack of faith, worry. The lack of peace, war. The lack of love, hate. They feed on those anti-emotions. So they need us, or they need people to be afraid. And that's how we get them. Because we're told to fear not. It's coming. Stick with me, because it's almost done. They hope. They want us, people, so we get scared. Feed those demonics that live off the fear. And they hope. In the meantime, people will get so scared that they just give in and do what they were told without being forced. Free will. See, that's free will. Another gift God has given each of us. They cannot force a spiritual curse upon a person. They cannot force you to stop believing in God. They cannot force you to many things, but they can make you scared enough that you might want to go ahead along with them so that you can end this fear. They like that. That is consent. That is bowing down. They cannot force a spiritual course upon a person without them feeling freely asking or accepting it, any more than people can be forced to take the mark of the beast. So the question always falls into the old spiritual therapy bowl. Spiritual therapy with Peter and Anna Colla. What can we do? The answer is simple. Simple answer. Here it comes. If the storm is upon you and the waters are dark and raging waves throwing everyone around and wind is screaming like demonic threats of drowning and dread, all-consuming destruction that wails in the churning waves under the surface of the waters, then the only thing to do is to look to God and step up and walk above the waters where you're safe. Walk on the waters. I further discussed this process of ascension as related in my books concerning this subject in many videos. But briefly, how do you ascend? Simple. All good things, all truths come from God. Look up. Get truths. Find truths. Look for truths. Listen. Find out the facts. Find out for yourself. Find the truths. Okay. Then you have to integrate them. Make them part of yourself. Everything's energy. Truths are godly energy. The more energy comes in, the higher your vibration goes up, the more truths you accept. But this is important. It has to be processed. Processed. And how do you process? You have to make it a part of yourself. And you do that by sharing. Jesus gave one order to his disciples: go and tell others what you have seen and heard. I give you one instruction: share. Pick up your mat and walk. Go around and be a display for everyone to see. Go put yourself before the temple and let them ask you their questions. Tell them what you saw. What do you mean? I don't know who he was. He just told me I was blind and now I can see. He must be from the devil. I don't know. I don't think so. Why would the devil want me to see? God, you're a liar. I'm not lying. I was blind before. Tell the truth. Share with others. Share with others. That's how it becomes. If you don't share what you learn, it stagnates. When the water goes into the Dead Sea, it doesn't go anywhere else. Stagnation. When the man got the coins and buried he buried his coins, everyone else invested or shared their coins. It rotted him. It made him evil. So God took it away from him, took away that treasure. Okay? That's how you ascend. It's like a balloon that's filled with a certain amount of gas. And on this amount of level, but when the warmth of God's truth warms that balloon up, then the balloon rises and it comes above. All the evil, the disease and curses linger at this level, but the balloon's up here. When you're above the level of the disease, which is 3D or below, that's why medicines, every medicine that's out there, dumbs down a person's ability to imagine everybody says the same thing. They all make me feel like I'm in some kind of like I've got a sleeping bag over my head. Why? Because they want to ground you. They want to. That's what medical treatments are to do. They force people to think only about the physical. Concentrate on that little toe. What I talk about it endlessly in my videos. I further discuss this in many of my videos and in my books. But let me assure you, readers, all these solutions and the ability for any of us to walk on the water is clearly defined and spoken in the many blogs and the 3 books that I published. But it is simple as this. You have not because you ask not. So ask. God, I have not because I ask not. So I'm asking. Why? What? What can I do? I'm asking you. What can I do? What is this stuff? Why? What's in these? Why are they mandating this all over the world? Why did every country in the world lock everybody down simultaneously? They could, you're talking about countries, Iran and Iraq and Jordan and Israel and Canada and America can never agree on anything, Yeah. And yet, for the first time, everybody did the exact same thing in the same time. Everybody locked down at the same moment. 6 feet, math. And get that. Oh, it hurts some people are getting sick and doing this. Doesn't matter. Get it anyway. All is available. It's there. The information is percolating right now. 25 years ago, I heard about things. 15 years ago, I heard about the La Palma thing. And you hear about these underground bases and different things, but you think, I hear 1 or 2 little reports, or the fact that maybe the Rothschilds sponsored both sides of the war, both not only World War I, but World War II. And you see the documentation and you believe it, you believe it. You saw the documentation 25 years ago. But other people really didn't ever talk about it. Nobody really, it's like, well, okay. And it kind of gets shuffled away. Now that stuff is coming out like the lava out of the La Palma volcano. It's just information all over the world. This information, like this Department of Human Services, their plan is to get everybody this. And if you don't get it, you can't even work. F them. I don't care. I'll work for free. Or they could pay me what they think I was worth. If they don't like it, oh well. That's what it is. Lord, help me see the truth hidden right before my eyes, before my nose, in plain sight. Then help me assimilate them into my life with understanding, practice, and finally mastering by sharing the newfound treasures you have freely given me with at least 2 others. I hope you enjoyed this quick report. I hope you will like and subscribe. I hope you will share this video. I will be going on David Nino Rodriguez soon, and I will also be going on Charlie Ward. You're coming up. I've also made some contacts with some other people. I might put out a few videos of my own with some guests that are not as well known. And you know, if you're interested, please check out Spiritual Therapies with Peter Anna Colla, or join us on our Telegram. There's a paulerpeter.com, Paul or Peter Telegram, and the links are below. And Anna Colla, she's got one. And Anna is busy with, my wife is busy with David Nino Rodriguez Patriots Movement, the Patriot Push. If you check out the link below for the Patriots Push, you'll see a form where you can become a part of that, and you would be put on, it's David Nino's team, but through Anna. You can be on her specific thing. And that's just a way of kind of taking a little bit of our buying power back from, you know, China, and getting it back to American-made products. You know, you just do the best you can at the time we have right now. Things are changing. The apocalypse is going on now. It won't be long before enough people awaken, and that fulcrum, once that teeter-totter starts to go, it goes the other way pretty quick. Bless you. And like I said, email me. I also do private consultation for people who do Zoom. I do have to charge for that because I do it during my normal work hours. So I have to take a lot of time off for my treating people here in order to schedule a private consultation. But if you call me or email me at posture.is.everything, I will do that. If you want me to speak with one of your favorite TV peoples, write them and ask them to put me on, and I will. I love to interview with anybody. Or if you have a channel and you want to add me to it, Mel, Simon, Jacko, yeah, I'd be glad to sit up and Kristen. I'd like to, you know, talk with any of those people. It'd be good. It'd be fun. Thank you, and a blessing out to my friends, and a blessing out to the hard workers out there that are working hard. The General Flynn's, the 107s, the president, the true president, Donald Trump. And until next time.